What if God came down to Earth for one day, said, "It's pronounced Jod," and left?
Maybe I should have brought the tripod so you could be spotted.
So Meredith and I took a trip to Joe's in February for a weekend and got really excited about the prospect of trying to get down there a bunch during the kind of early spring season when it's still pretty cold in Colorado but pretty prime down in Utah. We actually ended up driving down like 7 weekends, which is pretty crazy. It's kind of a ridiculous amount of driving, but we kept kind of getting pulled into different projects. And for me personally, I was just not really getting up things. On what would end up being our third to last weekend, I did this climb called Man from the Past and started trying the direct finish, which is Mask of God. I'd first seen Mask in the scene where Nale climbs it, and I remember thinking that it was the most intimidating and incredible looking boulder problem. That footage that was just playing shows kind of the working process for the upper moves. You have to walk up the adjacent rock and step onto the wall to try the upper section. So it's pretty hard to try unless you bring a rope out. So basically this first weekend on the problem, this year is my best try. I was quite inconsistent on the first move and not super confident on the upper moves, especially the very last move, which I was never able to do in isolation because of how hard it is to work. This try was actually only the second time that I did that first move, the first time being when I did Man from the Past. So I was surprised when I climbed through the upper section and found myself eyeing up the finish. Fall from the last move is pretty big, but I took it and it felt safe enough, so I figured that if I came back with a bit more confidence and just committed, I'd climb the problem. So we returned the following weekend and brought my dad. We actually had one pad fewer, but I figured it would be okay as long as we set them up right. Still didn't do the last move, but worked it off the rock and felt quite good on the upper section, and felt like if I got up there, I had a pretty good chance of doing it. So I climbed to the last move twice. This is the second time. I stuck the gas on, felt quite confident, climbed through the lock off, and felt like I had the pocket really well. The lip was right in my face, and it felt like all I had to do was grab it. I did not quite grab it. So I got pretty dinged up, but I was actually totally fine beyond just some bruises and scratches. However, I did have to stop trying. I was in a good amount of pain, and it was just clearly so unsafe with the number of pads that we had. So we decided to come back for one more weekend with the goal of having more foam and hopefully a safer method for the top.
All right, Lee, what we got going on here?
All right, we're at Mask of God, and I took a terrible fall last time. And the hope is to land safely today, if nothing else.
Nothing else.
If nothing else, don't get hurt.
Pretty good.
So I switched to trying to bump left hand to the lip rather than cross. The fall felt so much safer. To sag, but I forgot to sag to the left. First move is still incredibly inconsistent for me, and I still hadn't done the last move in isolation, so it still just felt like such a big question mark for the day. That was terrible.
Well,
I'd want him on my team. I'm just saying I wouldn't.
You two are in it
No,
together.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't want to brawl against Kai.
Lee, I remember having this exact conversation with Quinn where he was like, I would not want to fight Liam.
Quinn would put me in the dust.
Imagine if, like, professional fighters talked like this and they're like, oh my god, I absolutely do not want to fight this guy. He's like a professional boxer.
Speaking of which, meatball. So we had watched some MMA fighting one night with some people at an Airbnb we were staying at. And basically, this girl who they call Meatball was fighting, and she was in a pretty rough match that ended up ending with her hitting her opponent with a pretty savage elbow KO. I wanted to bring some ferocity and aggression into my climbing on Mask of God, especially after it knocked me about. So my mantra for the boulder was just meatball, meatball, meatball. Plus at 5'5" and 150 pounds, I'm a bit of a meatball myself. Can't do this boulder.
I think you're scared because you don't know what you're doing.
It's weird, like that first go when I climbed up there in ISO, I hit this thing in a way that felt really nice.
Yeah.
So then when I was here, I was like, yeah, I feel so good on this thing that I can like get the pull to bump.
Yeah.
But then other goes, I'm like, oh, I feel bad on this one. Maybe it would be better to switch feet and go.
Yeah.
And then some goes, I just feel bad on both of them, and I'm like, I can't move.
Yeah.
It's super frustrating. But I'm just gonna huck for the leg.
Gonna huck and just whatever happens, happens.
Fire it off the right.
Come on.
I dry fired off the right again. That's so annoying. Come on.
Yeah.
Nice, Liam, come on.
You're in it, boss. Come on. Yeah.
Okay,
Get it
come on.
right. Yep.
Come on, Liam.
I'm with you.
So good. Come on.
Good, Lee. Come on. Everything
Come on,
down.
Liam.
We're here.
Come on.
Come on.
Dance wrong. Come on. Come on. Yes, Liam, come on.
Come on. Basically, we're here. I'm with you, Lee. Come on.
Nice.
Hey.
Let's go.
There we go. Hell yeah.
Oh, finally.
Dude, good stuff.
Let's move.
Oh,
Is that
yes.
all smooth beta?
Yay. Ooh.
Yay.
Yay. Oh, okay. Oh, thank God.
All right, Liam, while you still can't breathe, do you have any words for the people?
I'd say that bumping left hand is safer. That's my closing statement.
Well, this one.
Dude, I was fucking terrified. I was like tachycardic that whole time, honestly.
On the top hour.
Can you explain what
Just-
tachycardic means to those of us that are not either dating or a healthcare professional?
It's a fast heart rate. Very fast. I was
Craig's
scared.
like, I've had that.
So on our final day of the weekend, which also happened to be my 25th birthday, we went up to the last great one at the dam boulders. I hadn't tried it before, and I was pretty intimidated by it because there's just so many intricate and challenging moves in a row. My friend Nate was trying it that day, and he luckily had a lot of beta, and Mare kind of cracked some good beta for the last move for shorter people. So it gradually started to come together, and I was basically just giving rips on it from the bottom over the course of about 5 hours. Wasn't actually filming goes, but I fell off the last move 4 times. I was pretty damn tired. Tristan ended up walking up the hill, and he turned the camera on for this attempt.
Come on. Hell yeah, Liam. Come on. Nice. Come on. Pretty good. Throw a foot. Nice.
So now it's on in Colorado, but in the fall it's going to be time to get back down to Joe's and try and finish up those remaining nemesises, and frankly I can't wait.